Hello, Resurrection community. I hope you can hear me through my mask. It's kind of a different view of me, but it's something that perhaps you're becoming accustomed to seeing people like this. And I myself am becoming accustomed to wearing this when I go out in public and grocery stores and things like that. And we now have made it mandatory at the office if we're there with other people and not locked away in our own offices that we wear a mask while we're at work. And I'm going to remove this now. It's interesting because we're getting used to, I think, seeing people in masks, even though it felt awkward at first, but now we are accustomed to it. And I was thinking about the mask in terms of the mask itself is this one was made for me lovingly by one of our parishioners for myself and my family, so that we had masks, which was great because I didn't have one, and then it became the new norm to be wearing them, and I didn't have one, so it was a wonderful gift from this community. And we have others that are available for you if you need one at the church, so please let us know about that. But it was interesting to think about the mask in terms of, from the standpoint of, it. The mask serves a purpose, but part of the purpose is it's interesting because the mask doesn't exactly protect me all that much from infection coming in. If somebody were to sneeze on me, I would potentially still become infected if they were infected. But what it does do is it protects those around us. And so as I thought about that, it seemed to me that wearing a mask is in part an act of love. And that led me to thinking about love in our world, and when this whole thing first started, I remember thinking about what if we were all panicking, if the world was just going nuts over the infection of love. What if that were what we were all energized about, right? As I saw the world reacting to this thing. And it led me to thinking about ways in which I see that infection happening through this. And when you think about restaurant workers and that are offering up meals for the homeless or meals for those who are struggling right now, people bringing food to food banks and those kind of donations, these are all acts of love that people are engaged in right now throughout this crisis. And you see it all over the place. I think you may have heard about this military officer in England who's almost 100 years old, I believe, and he walked around, he did a walking thing around his backyard to raise money for the National Health Services, and thinking that he would raise maybe $1,000. And he ended up, through online donations and the word getting out, raising over $30 million. Just an incredible act of love and selflessness on his part that turned into this explosion of love, which is just awesome. You see it we've seen images of Italy and other places, New York City, and the people gathering on their balconies of their apartment buildings at certain times of the day to celebrate and give thanks to the hospital workers and the frontline people on the front lines of this crisis. And you see that acts of love going out to show love and support for one another. And it's contagious. It really catches on. And we see it closer to home. This mask that I received is an act of love from within our community. There's another social media post recently from one of our members who had gone to a grocery store that only took an ATM card or cash, and she didn't have either, unfortunately, at the checkout. And yet the person in front of her, I believe, has stepped up and said, you know what, we've got enough to worry about. I'm going to go ahead and cover your groceries. And she was so thankful and so grateful, and it was just an act of love that she committed to paying forward. And so we see these acts of love within our community and beyond, and it is contagious, and more contagious than this virus, the acts of love that God instills in us. To deliver to one another and to send out and allow that to be contagious and catch on and catch fire on this world. And so that's one of the beauties that I see going on right now. And I hope that you see it. You have your own stories, and both personal and broader, the things that you might see on social media or the news. But it is beautiful, isn't it? I mean, it's just like it catches on and it just goes like a glorious sunset that starts to overtake the sky in beauty. And I just love that God is acting in that way in this time. So I have just snippets of 1 John I wanted to share with you. 1 John chapter 4 that speak to this for me, where God is commanding us to love one another. And it says, "Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Beloved, since God loved us so much, we also ought to love one another. By this we know that we abide in him and he in us, because he has given us his Spirit. God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. Love has been perfected among us in this, that we may have boldness on the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world." And so I give that to you as words of encouragement, that you might see love, that you might experience love, and that you might engage in love. That would be the contagion that overtakes this world. And I see it in so many different ways, and I hope that this highlights that for you and that you see it as well. So with that, blessings to you, my friends. I miss you, and look forward to being together in whatever ways we are able to as we go through this together. God bless.